皆さんこんばんは、リジーです。今日はですね、昨日に引き続き、ハンガリーのメディアによるロシアのラブロフ外相のインタビューの後半をお届けしたいと思います。ご存知の通り、アラスカサミットで、この CCCP、つまり USSR、旧ソビエト連邦のセーターを着用して現れたラブロフ外相なんですけれども、ハンガリーのメディアの方もそのことを後半に聞かれています。ご存知ない方がいたらね、ぜひこの部分を思い出してください。そしてやはりですね、この旧ソビエト連邦、この辺の歴史と、人々の考え、この辺が追いついていないところがやはりあるのかなという意味でも、非常にこの今の情勢を理解する上で貴重なインタビューの内容となったのではないでしょうか。そして、簡単に言うと、今回のブダペストサミットも、ネオコン勢力が、この邪魔をしてきたというふうに捉えられるかもしれません。そういったことをですね、非常に巧みに言葉を使って、ラブロフ外相が説明してくださっているかなと思います。そして私のチャンネルでは通常夕方に配信することが多いんですけれども、昨日午前中に元自衛隊の矢野義明先生にお越しいただいて、様々な観点からいろいろなことをお聞きしました。非常にね、この、軍事面から読み解く国際情勢というのは重要な点になりますので、ぜひこちら YouTube、ニコニコ、そしてオンラインサロンに参加して、ご視聴いただければと思います。最後の部分はオンラインサロン限定になりますが、ニコニコでも十分ご視聴いただいて、深い話を聞くことができるかなと思います。そしてですね、11月23日、宇山拓也先生をお招きして勉強会を開催します。勉強会の動画はオンラインサロンでご視聴いただくことができますので、これこそ YouTube で聞けない話をぜひ聞いていただきたいなと思います。そしてオンラインサロンではオンライン交流会も開催していますので、ぜひ特に地方にね、お住まいの方、ご参加いただければなと思っております。ということで、今日の動画は非常に貴重な内容かなというふうに思います。チャンネル登録、通知設定、それから高評価ボタンもよろしくお願いします。それではどうぞご覧ください。
When we Russia say we have reached our goals and the war?
Look, the goals have never changed. I gave you some examples. When they started strategic defeat to Russia, no negotiations, and now they are pleading and threatening. Ceasefire immediately without any preconditions because Ukraine is running out of weapons and we need to replenish the weapons for Ukraine. Or there must be sustainable long-term peace, as President Trump said after Alaska. Now the Europeans are trying to dominate the agenda with the rhetoric about ceasefire. They zigzagging, depending on what is going on the front line. We are convinced that to save the people from the Nazist regime, the people who have always been part of the Russian culture, they spoke Russian language, they were teaching their children in Russian, they watched Russian movies, they got news from the Russian media outlets, culture, theaters, what have you. And when all this have been prohibited by legislation, the Constitution of Ukraine still states that the state of Ukraine guarantees the rights of national minorities. Russian minority is highlighted separately, Russian and other national minorities as regards education, what have you. And when all this was cancelled by law, and they started this cancelling in 2017, long before the special operation started, and since then, and this was another root cause, the root cause number one, NATO, because it was intended to pull Ukraine into NATO and to build military bases in Crimea, on the Sea of Azov, just on our doorsteps. And I quoted President Trump, who bluntly explained why it's absolutely unacceptable to Russia, and everybody must understand this. But another root cause is extermination of everything Russian, history, language, media, culture, education, toppling and destroying the monuments to the Russian representatives who founded Ukraine in the eastern and southern part, toppling the monuments to those who saved Ukraine and Europe from Hitler and his Nazist troops. We ask from time to time, publicly and individually, we ask our colleagues who show any interest in, helping to settle this conflict. We ask, why are you, okay, NATO, it is something which not too many people would like to get into publicly, but human rights, it's in the United Nations Charter. It says everybody must ensure human rights irrespective of race, gender, language, or religion. Language, as I said, totally banned by law. In practice, people still use Russian language because it is their native language. Ukrainian Canonic Orthodox Church had also been banned by law, and but people only ask when are you going to end the war? When are you going to have a ceasefire? It's not honest, if you wish. An honest discussion would be to tell Ukrainians, before anything else, restore the language rights for restore all national minority rights, because your constitution says so, and in violation of the constitution you pass so many pieces of legislation, including, by the way, the legislation which discriminates Hungarian national minority in the western Ukraine, though Ukrainians try to be very specific in discriminating Russian language and trying to make some concessions for the language of the European Union. There is no single international convention which says that there are some languages which are more important than others. It's like Orwell, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. I repeatedly discussed this with Peter Sijarto, and he assured me that when Hungary fights politically, diplomatically for the right of national minorities, Hungary means all national minorities as international conventions, as the United Nations Charter require. And we appreciated the role Hungary played when this framework for negotiations with Ukraine on accession to the European Union was discussed. And Hungary, I think, single-handedly insisted that these chapters on negotiating accession included quite considerable language on national minorities, on their rights, and it is formulated not just about European Union languages. It's about all languages and all national minorities, and we appreciate that Hungary happened to be basically the country which single-handedly achieved this. It's another matter that nobody in Brussels wants to remember about this deal, this consensus. And when various representatives, including the Commission on Expansion, Mrs. Kos, as far as I understand, is saying, no, Ukraine is fully ready to begin accession negotiations. For Ukraine to be ready, they first have to undo what they have done in violation of their constitution and many conventions. So it's not, I think, appropriate when people say, when are you going to end the war? Where are you going to stop? Zaporozhye, are you going to give it back? Actually, we now have taken some other territories which are not, which do not belong to the regions reflected now in our constitution. The reason is very simple. We need a buffer zone because Ukrainians continue shelling, bombing, droning Russian including the territories which never were challenged by anybody. I mean Bryansk, Belgorod, Kursk, and so root causes. That's what must be key to understanding how to help end this situation efficiently, and thinking not about grabbing back territories, not about saving political losers who are ruling in Kiev, but thinking about the people who, you know, should be the utmost concern of those who say that they're champions of democracy. And when we are accused that we violate so many things, we, you know, invaded independent state in violation of one thing, like in violation of its independence, then in violation of the Budapest Memorandum of 1994. First, we recognized Ukraine on the basis of its own Declaration of Independence and its constitution. In 1990, Declaration on Independence was adopted, which says non-nuclear, neutral, non-bloc country with the rights of all national minorities and so on and so forth. And this was then endorsed by the constitution. So we recognize the Ukraine, which is very different from the country run by the openly Nazist regime. And when people pull it into NATO and say it has the right to choose alliances, it is not our reading of the situation. When we recognize somebody, it is on the basis of what this country is according to its own proclamation.
The first question before the Hungarian-Russian relationship. I've been thinking a lot about if Ukraine joining NATO is a red line. Why was Finland's NATO membership not a red line? What is the difference between Ukraine and Finland from Russia's point of view? Well,
the regime in Finland, I think they made a mistake. I know Alexander Stubb very well. Since the time when he was the foreign minister. Remember in 2008 when then president of Georgia, Saakashvili, launched an attack against the city of Tskhinval and the peacekeeping group which was there on the basis of the mandate of OSCE, and Alexander Stubb was in Tbilisi, and then he was passing through Moscow, and he made a very, I think, sober and accurate assessment of what kind of person Mr. Saakashvili was, and he was a reasonable gentleman. We had nice human relations and nice professional relations. And then after the special operation against Nazist regime in Kiev started, somehow the Finnish leadership started to experience I think, nostalgic feelings about the times when they were helping another Nazist regime to defeat Russia during World War II.
And if not Zelensky lead Ukraine, ha nem Zelensky vezetné Ukrajnát, akkor nem náci rezsim lenne?
Can you speak up?
Okay. If there will be another leader in Ukraine, not Zelensky, then will the regime be Nazis?
If there would be another what?
Leader.
Look, I am not in the guessing business. We have a bluntly Nazist regime, which, as I said, show openly the despise to anything Russian, which prohibited anything Russian. It's the only country on earth which prohibited a language, not to mention that this is official language of the United Nations. In Palestine, in any Arab country, Hebrew is not prohibited. In Israel, Arabic is not prohibited. But Zelensky prohibited the Russian language. Now they included Pushkin, Lermontov, Dostoevsky, some other writers of world fame in a list of materials which promote imperialist propaganda. No comment, as it were.
So the Hungarian-Russian relationship. A few days ago, it was October 23rd, the anniversary of the 1956 revolution in Hungary. And that was one of the saddest days in our history, and when the Soviets occupied our country. Some Hungarians still fear the Russians. We love freedom and we love independence. Honestly, we don't want to be attacked again. What can you say to them? Should they worry about a Russian attack in Hungary?
Who?
In Hungary, people. For example,
they don't need to be told. They know this, and we long ago reached agreement with our Hungarian colleagues that there would be no emotions, that there would be honest reading and rethinking of history. When President Putin was in Budapest long ago, 2006, he laid flowers to the monument to the victims of 1956 events. And just recently, he was in Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, I think 2 years ago, in 2023. And he said that this, addressing the issue of 1956, that this part of the Soviet policy was a mistake. And they don't have any difference on assessing those events with Prime Minister Orban, but they, as I said, they don't need to ignite emotions around this issue, though maybe some people in Hungary and in Russia, especially those who emigrated, maybe they would like to drive a wedge in our relations and to try to steer this history, but the leaders of Russia and Hungary, they know better. This is part of history. We gave our assessment, Hungary gave its assessment, and we now live a new life, remembering about all periods of our history. There were good periods, there were not very good periods, there were bad ones, but they remain in our memory, they remain in history, and they do not prevent us from develop mutually beneficial cooperation politically, economically, technologically, and other ways.
I am asking because you went to Alaska wearing a Soviet Union hoodie, and some people in Hungary weren't too happy about it. Some people said it was a secret message. Was it, or are you just a big troll?
There was some concern that I went to Alaska.
You wear a Soviet Union hoodie in Alaska, a hoodie, a sweater. Sweater.
Look, we also have T-shirts with the emblem of the Russian Empire. Yeah. Many people wear it. It's part of history. And apart from the fact that the sweater was very stylish,
so
and it was very...
It was a random choice or a secret message in Alaska?
No.
And do you have Columbia sweaters or Novorossiya sweaters too?
Look, in any country, there are parts of clothing devoted to history, to some bright moments of history, or to some moments when, for me, the Soviet Union is my motherland. I was born there. I enjoyed my youth. I enjoyed my employment by the foreign ministry, and I don't think that we should be ashamed of it. On the other, to the contrary, the Soviet Union was the key winner in World War II. Yes, we were fighting with Hungary at that time, we were fighting with Finland at that time, but that was a war which allowed everybody to create the foundation for the new world. The United Nations, everybody is equal, and apart from Nuremberg and Khabarovsk tribunals, basically we thought that everybody now decided to be forthcoming, like the French and the Germans overcame the old grievances. So did we with many countries who thought that the Soviet Union was exploiting them in the Comecon, in the Warsaw Treaty. But it's very interesting. For example, Germany. Everybody thought that German Democratic Republic was the servant of the Soviet Union, and as soon as the freedom explodes, Germany would be reunited, and it happened. It was reunited, but not the way which people discussed. It was not an equal reunification. It was swallowing by GDR by West Germany. And I know for sure, for example, that no one who used to work in the GDR foreign ministry was left in the United Germany foreign ministry. Many people were left unemployed and so on and so forth. Some other countries, including, I think, Poland, did the same. I don't remember that Hungary was doing something like this, and I believe it is right. I believe that after many wars which were originated in Europe or by Europe, it has to be a different epoch, and we all must unite to build a different world, like we all agreed in 1975 in Helsinki, and developed principles which are now absolutely ignored and grossly violated by those who run OSCE, those who become chairpersons, and those who work as Secretary General. The current Secretary General, our Turkish colleague, is trying to overcome this deficiency, and we wish him very well. But, oh yes, I forgot to mention about Budapest Memorandum. Many people said that invitation to Budapest, the meeting there, would basically mean that it is a humiliation because Budapest already was once the place where guarantees to Ukraine was signed, and it will be a very bad memory association. People who say so, they never read the Budapest Memorandum. The Budapest Memorandum says that Ukraine, as other former Soviet republics who refused to have nuclear weapons, would receive guarantees. Guarantees as the nuclear powers give to non-nuclear states. That's it. That's all. And these guarantees say that nuclear weapons would not be used against non-nuclear powers who are members of Non-Proliferation Treaty. But parallel with the Budapest Memorandum, a declaration was signed by the same signatories, which contained their commitments, solemn commitments, to observe all principles of OSCE, including national minorities, democracy, freedom of speech, and so on and so forth. All these commitments, which have been reflected in OSCE documents and which were reiterated on the occasion of the adoption of Budapest Memorandum, have been grossly violated by the Ukrainian regime. So we don't think we are in any way violating that document, which played a very important role in that period.
So the last quickly question, can we expect you to visit Budapest soon, you, President Putin, or maybe President Trump? If there are talks, could they happen in Budapest? Because we have many great T-shirts and sweaters, some even show our old borders, but that's a complicated topic, and we have very little time left. But can we? So can we expect you to visit to Budapest? Sure.
I was not invited. President Trump suggested to President Putin to meet in Budapest. President Putin said, yes, let's go into the preparatory work. We had a good conversation with Marco Rubio. The initiative was on the part of the United States. As I said, I heard that the State Department issued a communique saying that it was a good and productive phone conversation between Rubio and Lavrov, and it was so good that for the time being we don't need any meetings. So, you know, the initiative is there, and we are polite people, and when we are invited, we say yes, let's agree how and where and when. And when this invitation is cancelled, as President Trump said yesterday in the White House, later they said that cancel means postpone. It's up to those who initiated the process.